Today we're going to be tying up a pattern called the Fullback Nymph. Got a size 16 kind of hopper hook here in the vise and a gold bead on the front. It's a size 16 if I didn't say that already. I'm getting old and forgetting things. This is about a 70 denier thread, so we're going to go ahead and get that secured onto our hook. Go ahead and remove the excess, and then we'll go ahead and keep tying around back to just around the bend of the hook. I'm not going to go too deep, but I do want to go around the bend a little bit. And that will mark the back side of our abdomen as well as where our tail is going to be placed. So just a wrap or two more, that's probably going to be sufficient right about there. Tails are going to be 6 or so strands of pheasant tail fiber. Let's go ahead and tack that into the top of our fly here. I'm just going to take a turn or two and then I'll just kind of look at the length. I don't want a really long tail on this. I want it to be relatively short. That's probably going to be just about good enough for me. And I'm going to start my body, or the abdomen, right about here as well. So I'm going to pull these pheasant tail fibers back and kind of take some jam wraps to allow this to be kind of a wing case here over the back of the fly. So I've got to leave enough space for that to happen. Next we'll tie in just a piece of brassie size, kind of flat gold wire. Draw that back to about where I want my thorax to start. I'll just go ahead and take these wraps backwards to secure it back where those pheasant tail fibers are sticking up. With that, I'll go ahead and travel up and back. Just starting out a taper, but we're going to be dubbing this fly, so we'll be able to create a nice taper just with the dubbing alone. For dubbing, I'm just going to use some Awesome Possum. I'm using a sort of a bleached ginger. I want this fly to be very light colored. And I don't mind having a little bit of guard hairs here. Not excessive like you might find with a hare's ear or with a rabbit mask. But I've left myself enough bare thread that I can travel right on back here to the back end of the abdomen here. If you need to, you can go ahead and grab hold of those pheasant fibers and hold them back. And then we're just going to work our way up. And I'll take some wraps overlapping the previous wraps, and that's going to just help us build that taper I was talking about earlier. And just keep going forward here. And we're getting to about the right spot where we're going to end our abdomen. You can stroke some of these fibers back if you want to clean it up a little bit. You don't necessarily have to. They're not extending over the bead. I'm just going to grab my comb really quick because I do like to kind of comb out these pheasant fibers just to help align them a little bit better. Once I have those to about where I want them, we're just going to go ahead and tie those in. Go ahead and muck around with them a little bit. Make sure they're situated on the top and that they're at least somewhat spread out. I'm going to take a few thread wraps behind and in front. So from here I'm going to leave these in place because we're going to use those as a wing case going over. So we're going to be using most of that material. We'll go ahead and start taking open wraps with our gold wire to create the nice ribbing on the pattern. I like this to be pretty evident, so I like using this flatter gold wire rather than just the round gold wire. It's going to lock down that pheasant tail and create that ribbing we're looking for. I get to about here, I'm going to go ahead and secure that down with a couple of thread wraps. A couple on the other side as well. And I'll just turn my vise, and we're just going to try to helicopter this off. It's a little bit beefier than what I'm used to, but it will do the same thing. Now we want to fold these pheasant tail fibers backwards. Let's get those kind of secured down so that they're pointing back, still on the top of the hook shank, so that we can use them here in a minute for our wing case. We'll turn back to that same color of dubbing, that Awesome Possum in a ginger color. And then we'll just start dubbing up the abdomen here, or the thorax here. We want to build this up so it's more pronounced than the body, so we're going to go for some thickness here. So we've just gone back for a final helping of this dubbing. You see I reach in and kind of tighten it up a little bit as I'm going along. Mostly out of habit at this point. And then I'm going to go ahead and stroke those fibers back as much as I can to try to keep some of these stragglers from going over the top of the bead. So now I'll take those pheasant tail fibers again, put those over the top as a wing case. Just take a wrap or two to secure those down. Pull them backwards and get a couple of wraps in front of them right behind the bead as well. With that, I can come on in with my scissors and we can cut that off. And I really don't mind the front of this being a little bit bushier, so I'm going to go ahead and take my dubbing brush and just tease out a few of these fibers. We're going to put a soft tackle on the front of this, so I don't need it to be too outrageous. So we don't need a lot of soft tackle on this. I'm just going to use a partridge feather. See, I've already got it prepared with the soft tackle legs going back, and then I've got a nice little tie-in point right here. So let's get that tied in. I'm going to tie that right up to behind the bead. Just trying to secure that so it doesn't slip out from under me while I'm tying in this soft tackle. From here I'm going to just grab the stem on this hackle with some hackle pliers. We'll gingerly work on standing that up. I'll wet my fingers, stroke those fibers backwards as much as I can. I'll go ahead and take my first wrap around. When I get to the top, I'm going to stroke those back again. We're just about out of material already, and that's kind of what we expect. So now I'm pretty much on the bare stem here. That's going to allow me to just kind of sneak right in and secure that stem down. Some of these stragglers we're just going to wrap backwards a little bit, and that's going to trap them backwards. So just a couple of wraps here. We can release our hackle plier. And then I'll just come on in with my scissors, and I'm just going to cut that bare stem off. From there I can stroke all of these fibers back. If I can grab hold of them, that is. I'm going to tie right over the top of them with some fairly tight wraps. And now you start to get to see that nice soft tackle look on the pattern. Going to give myself a little bit of thread. We'll whip finish, cut off our thread, and call it good. So there you have it, the Fullback Nymph. Great soft tackle nymph pattern. Tied it on a 16, I'll go down 18, probably about there. Gold bead will help it get down to the bottom really quick. It's got a nice pronounced ribbing, and I just love the Hungarian partridge hackle. So grab yourself a hook, throw it in the vise, and give this one a shot.